Clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right. Us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate y'all being here. We're live on WYSL until 1 p.m. So give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. And we have Andrew Hollister back on the show, too. Andrew, welcome back.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, right on, man. It's good to have you back. Also, shout out down the line to our friends listening on all of the social media channels, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Andrew Hollister pages, and, of course, the Free Solution page and YouTube channel as well. Wherever you're listening today, thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all participating in the discussion, listening, doing whatever. We're talking about election results today. And also shout out down the line to our friends listening over at WACK out in Newark a little bit later. Love you guys too. And our podcast listeners. And folks, I apologize for regular podcast listeners. I dropped the ball on posting like 8 episodes, but they're all caught up as of now. The stream is up to date. You can catch all those past episodes anywhere you find podcasts. Just look up A Free Solution. All right, but we got election results to talk about. Andrew, did you vote?
I did vote. Yep.
Voting's aggression, Andrew. That's
well, you know. No, I got a chance to vote. I voted a little bit later in the day. The poor Board of Elections voting people apparently didn't get snacks this year. And apparently candidates used to be allowed to actually bring them lunch and snacks. And so it used to be a thing. Candidates would come in as they meet up with their poll watchers, and they would bring, snacks and lunch and stuff like that for the election workers. Apparently that's not allowed anymore. I don't know how long ago it stopped. But
so
probably
do people think like the candidates are going to be like bribing the poll workers to like do some shady stuff?
I'm sure that's exactly why it stopped. I'm sure somebody was like, I saw such and such candidate giving a Milky Way bar to the Board of Election staff, and they changed the results of the election or something. I'm sure that's what happened. So the Board of Elections people, I guess, they don't get snacks from the candidates anymore, which, to be honest, is kind of like a great thing that the community could do anyways. And it's unfortunate that candidates can't either, because I know candidates, being so involved with the process, understand just the amount of work that Board of Elections puts in. Yeah. And so they have the capability to just kind of value that maybe a little bit more than the average person. And so for everybody who's listening, next election day, think about bringing in some snacks for your poll workers, because why not? It's just a nice thing to do. It's a great thing that you can do in your community to thank them for the work they're doing to make sure that your election is accurate.
Yeah, because as you said, it's a job that requires a ton of work to do. And like, it is what makes the election process actually work. I mean, that you get paid like a little bit of a stipend to be there. You have to go through a whole training and everything. But yeah, being one of the poll workers in there is a ton of work. So thank you folks who do that work, and make sure that the votes get counted correctly. It's not easy.
Yeah. So next year, assuming I'm not running for anything, and anybody who's wondering, no, I'm not planning on running for anything next year.
That's what they all say. I'm not planning on running
lead-in
for a thing.
Yeah.
I just have an exploratory committee just to explore this.
Yeah. And if you want to send donations to a possible fundraiser,
yeah, right.
No, I think next year what I'm going to try to do is, I don't know, grab a sheet pizza on my way to voting or something and drop it off for the poll workers, because I don't know, it just seems like a fun, good, kind thing to do.
Yeah. I'm sure no one at all will take your good intentions in a terrible way and turn it into a scandal.
Oh yeah, I'll be on the front of the DNC for something.
Yeah.
So
local radio host attempts to manipulate election with cheap pizza.
Oh, come on. They won't give me that. It'll be something like Party Insider.
Party Insider. There we go. That's it. Former statewide candidate and Party Insider.
Yep. Yeah, they'll dress it up good. I'll be like, I didn't realize I sounded that good on paper.
Yeah, so, I had no idea I was that influential. Great.
How about you? You get a chance to vote yesterday?
Yes, I did vote. I exercised some bullet voting in areas where I felt like I wanted to focus on like just the candidates I wanted to win. And as I said in my show, was it a Monday? You don't have to fill out the entire ballot if you don't want to. It says to select 5 candidates for, say, city council, and there isn't 5 candidates you like, you don't got to pick all of them. I did that when Andrew was running for city council back in 2017. Did it this year too. Won't tell you who, but I did not fill out all 5. And same with a couple of the other positions as well. And of course, vote for all those. The judge position, Supreme Court, city council, mayor. There wasn't much of a choice for me. County ledge, not much of a choice for me. Is Rachel Barnhart. Mayor is Malik Evans. So both of those candidates appear to have won. It is possible to win on a write-in. We might talk about the Buffalo election a little bit later, because it looks like the incumbent Byron Brown may have pulled off a win with a write-in campaign over there, beating the socialist candidate. Well, she's a Democratic Party candidate, but she is an out-and-out, calls herself a Democratic socialist. So we'll talk about that. And then the ballot proposals, interesting results. I ended up voting the way that I talked about on last week's show, whenever I talked about it. But the results, except for proposal 2, did not turn out the way I expected. I expected 3 and 4 to pass. I definitely expected 2 to pass, but 3 and 4 looks like they've failed, and so is 1, which I'm glad about that. Did you have any thoughts on the ballot proposals?
Yeah. Well, I had some interesting thoughts. I mean, I knew how I was going to vote. I was a little bit surprised when I did research this year that there were so many ballot proposals. Normally there's like maybe 1 or 2. So having 5 this year was a surprise. And I did get a lot of people who reached out kind of asking like, hey, what does this mean? And something that I really, really don't like about ballot proposals is how poorly worded they are and vague. And that's something that just really kind of,
especially ballot proposal 1, which is like, you read it and it's like 5 different clauses. But when you look at like what those things actually do, it's a novel. It's a ton of stuff. So like those probably should have all been separate things.
Separate. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And individually, some of those might have been more likely to get through, like the 63 senators thing. I think the counting prisoners thing, it's already in state law. It might have gone through anyway. Who knows? And then I think the census thing probably would have failed anyway. But it's weird that it wasn't like a separate ballot prop compared to the redistricting thing, which is a whole other can of worms. And I think is kind of the most controversial point of that ballot proposal. But as of right now, the unofficial state election results, which I'll post a link to that if you guys haven't seen this stuff, is that 38% voted yes, 48% voted no, and 13% left it blank.
Yeah, and for them to overcome that no, they got to come up with a little over 3 million votes, either in discrepancy or absentee. So probably that number, 300,000, not 3 million. Move to 0.
Off by a little bit there. Yeah, but still, even it's still a big threshold to get over. And I don't I should look this up for a show. I don't know how many outstanding absentee ballots are out there right now, but that is a pretty big threshold to overcome here. I know that it may come into play in some of the local, like Monroe County races, particularly the county ledge races, some of which are only separated by a few dozen votes. Those the absentee ballots look like they're probably going to matter here, and particularly in Monroe County, which has been controlled by Republicans for, oh goodness, I think since like 1992. I saw this morning. They may lose it to the Democrats depending on the results of the absentee ballots.
Yeah. And there's I think there's a couple races that look like that. I will say, was not surprised that Proposal 2 passed. That wasn't a surprise. So I was surprised that 3 and 4 didn't pass, though. That was a surprise to me.
Yeah, we're running out of time for now, though. I know we're coming up on the clock. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about those 3, 2, 3, and 4, some local elections. And if you guys have any thoughts, I know we have listeners from all throughout New York State and sometimes beyond. If you have thoughts on the election and how things turned out for you, give us a call, 585-346-3000, or leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, molds, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, with Andrew Hollister co-hosting.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah. Give us a call if you want to participate in the discussion today. Again, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. If you want to discuss the results of last night's election. Again, we're talking about the ballot proposals too. Gave a whole breakdown of those ballot proposals on a previous show, and yeah, I'm not at all surprised Prop 2 passed. And I said this, like, I think that there are going to be some legal pitfalls to this, but like when I saw my friends talking about this, even the ones who are like kind of conservative talking about that proposal on Facebook, they're like, what sort of Captain Planet villain would you have to be to vote against clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment?
Well, apparently we have about 900,000 of them, but I will say, in reading this, it was pretty unclear. And my personal, and you may have already covered this, Kevin, so you know, feel free to let me know. It was so vague. Even when I looked up the text, it was kind of like, so can they say like driving your car more than 3 times a day violates everybody's right to clean air and you can't drive your car anymore? Like, could that be a result of this?
Certainly sounds like a lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, or clean water. You know, how are we going to establish the right to clean water, and what does that do? What does that change? It was so vague.
Is
and
it
so
clean
unclear.
drinking water too? Is it clean waterways? Like every time Lake Ontario becomes too dirty to swim in, like who's at fault? Who is responsible for paying for that? The Army Corps of Engineers, New York State, you know, any like, and I get like the intention is like, we don't want companies to pollute. So we're going to establish this as a right where the state has to be proactive in making sure that people are not subject to the negative externalities of pollution, even though we already have a lot of mechanisms in place to do this. And, you know, Scott uses his comment, says, yeah, number 2 isn't going to be what people thought they voted for, but it feels good. Great virtue signaling. Like it sounds super great in theory. Why would anyone be against clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment? Healthful environment too is going to be a tricky one, because what does that phrase mean in the age of COVID? Is healthful environment applicable to the situation we have with the HERO Act, for instance? I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be. I am sure a bunch of lawyers are going to get very rich off of this, though. That's my prediction for Prop 2.
Well, in a healthful environment, unless they specifically defined it anywhere, which I did not see, and it's possible I missed it, does that mean mental health? Does that mean people will have the right to tell their employers they don't want to work physically at work for their mental health? So many questions here, so many lawsuits. If you thought it was expensive to live in New York, Prop 2 probably just made it a lot more expensive.
Like, positive rights like this, as compared to like restrictions on government, negative rights like free speech and the government not being able to take away the right to defend yourself, like they are much trickier to arbitrate where those lines are. And like I said, I imagine it's going to be expensive. Hopefully everything works out great, though. Like maybe I'm not super optimistic about that, but maybe, you know, this will be great and it'll just shut down the bad polluters, the Captain Planet villains. Just you evil capitalists will have to worry about this. No one else.
Yep, there you go. And New York will be the only state in the nation with clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment.
That's going to be it.
It's going to be us.
But yeah, but and then 3 and 4, like I said, it's interesting that those didn't get passed. Prop 3, of course, was the 10-day period for having the register to vote before an election, removing that, allowing for same-day election registration. I know some folks are worried about that just from a fraud point of view. I had my very grumpy reason for not being for that, which was like, listen, if you haven't planned out that you're going to vote more than 10 days before an election, you haven't even planned out to register to vote, then you probably are not forward thinking enough to go out and make a decision about my life. But, you know, no one likes that idea.
I could say,
but that's not the reason why this would, that this exists. The reason it existed in the first place was because, you know, just before computers, before you could register online, like you needed an amount of time to process and confirm the information. Like that's it.
Yeah, I mean, almost everything's done on tablets now. It's very electronic. And I will say, as a previous candidate, there are times as you're doing your final door-to-doors days before the election, you meet somebody who is very excited about your candidacy, just to find out they're not registered to vote. Like it happens,
Yeah.
and their civic inspiration happens at that moment, and then the system immediately crushes them again when they go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go vote for the very first time, I'm so excited. Oh, I can't vote till next year.
Yeah.
Bet you that person doesn't end up voting next year. They probably don't end up completing their voter registration unless you got a form right there, which most candidates do, and you take care of mailing it in for them. But even then, they the excitement is probably wasted because they realize the system's set up in a way that wasn't convenient and easy for them.
Yeah. So I mean, that's fair. And again, I get why people would want this. My reason for being grumpy about it is not at all a legitimate reason to like oppose this. And like, in fact, you can't give that as a league. Oh, we want less people to vote. Like, but that's just me being grumpy. Like, all right, like if you're not informed, don't vote. But I get why we should remove these barriers. There's no technological reason not to have this anymore. When you go in and do early voting, they can print out a ballot for you. Now depends on what you like. There's no reason to have this barrier. In fact, there's also no reason to have specific polling sites either. I think that's kind of dumb nowadays. If you can just print off a ballot anywhere. And I'm mostly grumpy about that because I literally can see a polling site from my house, but it is not my polling site. I have to go walk or drive like 2 blocks away. Minor inconvenience for me, but I'm like, man, it's right there. I could see it. Why can't I just go to that one?
Yeah, one of my biggest gripes with where we've gone with electronic is why can't I have a receipt showing all of my votes that were tallied on my ballot? Some states have it. New York doesn't. You just get a little check mark that says ballot cast. It would be cool to have it just give you a little receipt that says each of the things you marked off and the vote that it recorded.
But who the specific vote was for? Because I could see why that could be like dangerous for voting, like anonymity, right? Like if you have like an employer who's going to do something shady and be like, oh, like I only want to employ you if you're going to vote for this candidate. Like, show me the receipt.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that could be a thing, but I don't know. I'd like to know that the machine casted my ballots right.
Yeah, there's a
plain,
trade-off there.
Plain simple.
That's interesting. I think we talked about that in the past. We should be able to at least see that like the vote was recorded, right? Like even if it's like temporarily on the screen or something. Like I'd kind of like to see that. But
yeah, because my first when I put in the ballot, it didn't take it right away. It actually spit it back out. Said there was like a problem, some error. They had to come over, re-put it in the machine. Then it's just a ballot cast. I was like, well, what was the problem the first time? Was it recorded right the second time? You know, I work in technology, so I have, I think, an appropriate amount of faith that it was recorded properly. But we also have debug logs and error logs, and we confirm. It would be nice to have a receipt. You know, you place an order online, you get an email. You know, here's your order confirmation. So
fair enough. And then number 4, the absentee ballot thing. And it's because I think the Libertarian Party of New York ended up coming out against this one too, which surprised me. They gave out the ballot fraud reason. I said, you know, I think that one that was the whole committee who came to consensus on that one. I was surprised they ended up coming on that side of it, because to me, I'm fine with absentee balloting. I think like you should be able to vote however you want. If you want to vote by mail, it's fine. Like, who cares? I should be able to vote by app. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I would love to vote by app too, but maybe that's a in our lifetime thing, Kevin. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's develop it. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Right. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. When we come back, we'll talk about the results of some Monroe County races, maybe that Buffalo race too, the mayoral race, which is very interesting, and anything else. Leave your comments or give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We're going to be back in just a few minutes on A Free Solution.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the Newstead NBC Weather Center for tonight. Partly cloudy, a little frosty cold out there. There could be a isolated lake effect shower of wet snow or rain, but generally dry, low 30s on Thursday. Partly to mostly cloudy, still a chill in the air, slight chance of a shower or a brief snowflake, but most of the time dry, temps in the 40s. A little sunnier on Friday, but still chilly in the upper 40s. I'm Rich Canilia, WYSL.
Do you, like many business owners, feel your business is your other child? You started it, worried when things weren't well, watched it grow, proud of its successes, and now the business is running well. So you start to think, how am I going to transfer this business and make sure I get the most value for it? Who am I going to sell it to? Family, key employees, favorite competitors? What's my business worth? What kind of payment terms am I going to get? What are the tax implications and business agreements I need? What's going to be the impact for me and my family? I'm Alan Ginsberg of the A.M. Ginsberg Advisory Group. We work with many business owners regarding business continuation plans. We'll be glad to sit down and discuss your situation and look at the options that you may have available. Call my office at 585-377-4720. If you start to think about it, don't wait till the last minute.
Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors, Inc., A.M. Ginsberg Advisory Group, and Securities America companies are separate entities.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whenever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you need contracting work done around your home or business, it's frustrating to find someone with the expertise, experience, and versatility that's just right. Chamberlain Construction to the rescue. Chamberlain's done it all, commercial and residential, and you name it, Chamberlain can do it. Roofing, siding, kitchens, baths, decks, porches, remodeling, bump outs, stores, garages, with the best in materials and workmanship. Over 30 years of reliable, ethical experience anywhere in our region. Chamberlain Construction, Dansville, 370-5959, 370-5959. Contact Lee Chamberlain, lee@chamberlainconstruction.com, spelled chamber, L-I-N.
Wet weather takes its toll on your home's foundation. The remedy for wet basements is UGL's Drylock Extreme Masonry Waterproofer. A durable, mildew-resistant waterproofing and decorative coating available in 10 colors. Drylock Extreme Masonry Waterproofer beautifies and protects any porous masonry wall, such as cinder block, brick, cement, or stucco. Make sure your basement is dry with UGL's Drylock Extreme Masonry Waterproofer. It's warranted for 15 years and available at Smith Lumber and Hardware Center, Route 20A in Lakeville, serving our area since 1954.
Why choose GCC? Affordable classes on campus and online. GCC offers 60-plus academic programs, and SUNY degrees are transferable too. Student housing is available while you build a career that will take you anywhere. Check out GCC's Academic Open House Saturday, November 13th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Register online at genesee.edu/visit. Your time is now.
The Livingston County Department of Health reminds you to keep this holiday season a healthy one by following proper food preparation precautions. Be sure that all food is cooked to a safe temperature. Keep food items refrigerated until ready to serve. Clean all food preparation surfaces with a bleach solution to kill bacteria. And never consume raw or undercooked meat, seafood, or eggs. For more information on holiday food safety, contact the Livingston County Department of Health at 243-7280.
I want to cook you the best cheeseburger ever, in your life, ever. I'm Camden from Tom Walls. Fresh ground steak, 2 slices of cheese. We don't cut corners. Tom Walls.
Tom Walls. A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, with, I promise you he's here, Andrew Hollister, just catching up on the digital stream here with Andrew Hollister. We're live here on WYSL until 1 p.m. Give us a call if you want to participate in the discussion, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or leave your comments wherever we're streaming today. Got a whole bunch of places. The Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, Andrew Hollister page, Andrew Hollister YouTube channel, and the Kevin Wilson pages, wherever you're listening. Thank you, including our friends over at WACK out in Newark. Appreciate y'all too. And we did get a call over the break, didn't want to go on the air, but asked whether or not the new right to clean air, clean water, and healthful environment would lead to stuff like what California is doing with banning all gas-powered small engines. And maybe, so California, I just looking it up over the break, they do have a right to clean water. You know, they already have some of this stuff established as rights. They did that back in 2012. And yeah, that might be the case where New York will now have to, if they're going to be in compliance with their own constitution, implement stricter standards on things that emit pollution. And again, what does that mean for us trying to just do day-to-day activities like driving a car, mowing a lawn, whatever? Thank you for calling in and making that point. Anything to add to that, Andrew?
Somebody's gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it absolutely.
I guess that's what always happens. So,
yeah.
You know, we pass something with feel good intentions. A few years down the road, we realize what that really means, and then we create a whole lot more pollution to manufacture devices to replace these dangerous pollution causing things. So it would be interesting, you know, in the United States, we're actually pretty terrible about producing valid reports on just environmental impact in general on just about anything. Denmark, however, does a great job. And if you look at some of the reports that come out of Denmark, they don't align at all with some of our legislation. And it's kind of funny because we've passed feel-good legislation. For example, plastic bag ban. Sounds great. People are happy that there's less plastic bags hanging from trees, but statistically, we're actually doing much worse for the environment now. And Denmark's got the numbers to prove it. I doubt any politician in the United States will put that forward and be like, oops, we made a big mistake here.
You count the metrics that make you look good. You ignore the ones that don't. You know, see, there are fewer plastic bags, which is the result of a plastic bag ban. Therefore, we have, you know, single-use plastic bags. Now, there's more other plastic out there now as a direct result of this as well. So,
and paper bags just aren't used enough because what a lot of people don't realize is the environmental impact of creating a paper bag is so much more than a one-time use plastic bag that you never get enough uses out of the paper bag to break even on the environmental impact. And that's kind of the numbers that we ignore here is we go, look, we have less plastic. And look, We have
those
biodegradable
reusable
bags.
Those reusable bags, yeah, like it requires a lot of resources to produce those, especially in the paper bags. They require a lot of resources to manufacture and transport too. It's not totally cost neutral in this case. So sometimes it's not necessarily the worst thing to have the quote single use plastic bags that people often reuse anyway. Yeah, no, lots of great points there, but again, appreciate the listener calling in and bringing up that, because that's why I wonder what's going to happen too. Is again, good, just because someone has good intentions, and I genuinely think most people who voted for this have good intentions, does not mean that we're going to get the results that we think we're going to get out of that. But if you have any other comments on this stuff, again, give us a call, 585-346-3000. You don't necessarily have to go on air if you don't want to. You can always leave a comment with our producer too. And if you have something good, we'll talk about it on air.
And if we don't talk about it, maybe it was bad.
Yeah,
or maybe we just didn't have time. That's
sometimes we run out of time. Like sometimes I know we'll get a call like 2 minutes before the show's over, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write that down, try to remember to bring it up on the next show. But if you give us a call now, it's good stuff. We're happy to talk about it. Bob Schuon left a comment, says the issue with the machine is it doesn't read the ballot unless it inserts perfectly, so there's a large failure rate. We had to have voter insert the ballot 10 times before it reads correctly. Yeah, I had to do the same thing. It took me third time is when I was able to get it to finally go through. So that does happen. And we have a comment from first segment of the show, which I wasn't sure which candidates this person was talking about. Rogers says, is there a reason why no one else ran against those two? I wasn't sure if you were talking about the races that I said no one was challenging in, Rachel Barnhart, Malik Evans, or if you're talking about the Buffalo mayor race. So we'll talk about both. In Rochester, it's kind of similar reason, like why no one else run against Malik Evans. Well, he won the primary for Democrats and Working Family. Mayor Warren, unlike Byron Brown, had just was likely to be found guilty of the charges for campaign finance violations and ended up pleading guilty to some of those things and is stepping down in December, like a couple weeks before terms up anyway, in exchange for pleading guilty to some of those things. So there's a reason why lovely Warren didn't end up doing a write-in campaign for this.
And there's no Republican challenger or challenger from any other parties in the city. The city's just...
I mean, it's tough to do, like Tony Mitchell ran last time, and that guy worked super hard and got clobbered. It stinks, and it's hard for donors to rally around a candidate knowing that there's such a registration disadvantage in the city for Republicans, much less independents or libertarians or whoever, and that the battle to win is tough. So unless you are independently wealthy and you have the time and the resources to run a race independently, you're probably going to get your butt kicked. Again, Andrew and I both experienced this, and whether you're Republican or independent. It's it's tough. It's tough to put yourself out there knowing that you're likely to get clobbered. Same even with the county ledge race. It's just someone could run and I live in District 21, cool, but chances are it's going to be really tough to win. It's not impossible, just very, very tough to win in this district, which has an overwhelming Democrat advantage in registration. The ones where things are a bit closer, that's where you're seeing these close election results here in Monroe County, and I'm sure many other counties are experiencing some of this too. But then out in Buffalo, same. I imagine it's the same thing. The Republicans just didn't want to put anyone. I don't know a ton about this race. I'm gonna have to have like Dwayne Whitmer on this show or something to talk about what's going on with that race. But just or the Buffalo specific politics anyway. But what's interesting about this one, right, about that race in particular, right, is that the candidate who won the primary back in June is again self-proclaimed Democratic socialist, and she was going into this assuming, and so India Walter, she was going into this assuming that she's probably going to win. Again, you got the Democratic primary. A lot of people are going to just vote row A all the way. That's Andrew, you heard that so much in your campaign for city council, and you're like, oh,
so painful. It'd call voters and they'd say, yeah, I already got the card in the mail. It told me exactly who to vote for. I just get this card and I just do whatever it tells me to do every year. It's like really frustrating.
Yeah. Row A all the way. That drives me nuts. But yeah, with that race, she probably assumed she was going to win, but it's an incumbent mayor who I think this is, I think, going to be his 5th 4-year term, which is the longest term, the longest serving mayor in Buffalo history, I believe. He has his share of controversies, but like lovely Warren here, he certainly has a very loyal following of folks, and they I think he was running off of a write down Byron Brown campaign, and so my thoughts on this again. I have no particular love for Byron Brown. I know he has his own set of issues, but it is interesting to see how the primary system, which tends to drive out some of the most extreme partisan voters, Democrats and Republicans in the primary system, produced the most extreme candidate in this case, which is a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist in Western New York, of all places. And those voters, the ones who are most motivated to show up for a Democratic primary, were not in touch with the general election voters, which I assume not only includes, the Republicans and independents who couldn't participate in that primary, but many Democrats who probably didn't bother to show up the first time, but they're like, whoa, yeah, I don't want to vote for a socialist. What the heck? What happened here? Well, I was asleep at the wheel, and suddenly, we got an actual socialist trying to run our city. What's that going to do to my livelihood? What's that going to do? It's going to be interesting to see the analysis that comes out of that race, and interesting to see what does this mean, if anything. Probably nothing for the primary system.
Yeah, my suspicion is it's very telling of the primary system, but won't change it at all.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Again, give us a call if you want to participate in discussion, 585-346-3000. Thoughts on elections that affected you. 585-346-3000. We'll be back on A Free Solution in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Need help with health insurance? The Greece Regional Chamber provides assistance with health insurance for businesses, nonprofits, families, and individuals throughout our region. We pride ourselves on the personalized service that we provide for our clients. Let us help you find health insurance plans that fit your needs and navigate the paperwork. Greece Chamber Benefit Partners, located at 2402 Westridge Road in Rochester, New York, offers a broad range of medical insurance plans for businesses, nonprofits, individuals, and families throughout the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region, working with insurance companies including Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, Univera, and MVP Healthcare. We can also help you access insurance plans through the New York State of Health, the official health plan marketplace. Again, you do not need to live or work in Greece to utilize our brokerage services. We serve the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region of New York State. Visit greecechamber.org to sign up for one of our free health insurance information sessions or schedule an appointment with one of our licensed brokers. Call 585-227-7272. 585-227-7272.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks again for joining us on A Free Solution. Got me and Andrew Hollister here live on WYSL talking about election results and what they mean. You know, talked about the situation with the socialists losing in Buffalo. Is there hope for the average voter to reject that extreme ideology? Is there any hope for the Republicans to do the same? I don't know. I hope so, because they're proposing some big socialist solutions too. But I'm glad to see it happen. I did not. I'm not, again, no particular love for Byron Brown. I'm just glad the socialists didn't win. But let's talk about some local election results too, because again, as we had mentioned at the top of the show, the Republicans in Monroe County have controlled the county ledge since 1992. Until very recently, they had the county exec position too. But of course, Adam Bello, a Democrat, has that spot right now, up for election in another 2 years, I believe. But it's very, very close right now. There's at least three races that are coming down to absentee ballots. Michael Udelson and Matt Borkowski down in the 13th district. Udelson 48.6%. Borkowski 51.33%. Very, very close. Wait for the absentee ballots to come in. 16th district. Joe Carbone, who is a leader in the legislature, down right now. Dave Long, the Democrat, 50.3%. Joe Carbone, 49.64%. If the absentee ballots skew Democrat in that case, Joe Carbone might be out.
Yeah,
which is interesting. And up in the 26th district, I think that's where you used to live too, right? It's like Charlotte area. You still do, right? Mm-hmm. So Eversha Roman, 48.7%. Orlando Rivera, Republican, 51.18%. Eversha is the Democrat, is the incumbent. And so we'll see again if the absentee ballots skew in her favor. I think she needs 60 some odd percent, or no, 56%. And I'll share where I'm getting that information too in the thread. Then she'll pull it off, and yeah, she might do it. And again, Orlando is he's run for a few times now and seems like a good guy. So it'd be interesting if he pulls it off, but it'll be close.
Yeah, there's in that race specifically, it looks like 78 votes. So it's not a lot of votes there, folks. No. You gotta get out and make sure you vote, or if you're not going out, send in those absentee ballots, because this is a race that could be overturned by absentee ballots, or when they count the absentee ballots, I mean, this election could be within a handful of votes. Yeah. If the absentee ballots split out the same way the in-person polling split out, which I don't think it will, because statistically speaking, Democrats are just more apt to vote absentee. It's going to be really close. It could be within 5 votes this election.
Yeah, no, it's going to be incredibly close, which has happened before, right? Like we've had Peter Vasquez on the show before. He lost one of his primaries a few years ago by it was only a half dozen votes, just crazy close. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if if the legislature swings that way, like Monroe County, again, it's a very split county. The registration, like in terms of Democrat, Republicans, definitely trending towards Democrat way more over the last couple years. Nationwide, Republicans did super well. Like a lot of places, like in Virginia, looks like Youngkin is probably going to win down there against McAuliffe, but they had education specific issues that were driving that campaign in that election. But all politics are local, right? And so there's different unique frustrations with both Democrats and Republicans in Monroe County that are driving some of these races. Plus, again, the individual candidates in some of these too, and their strategies for getting out the vote. Because like on the countywide level, the Republicans still did pretty well in the judge races. But on those individual district levels, like there's a few more that are just, especially, Pittsford, Greece starting to go a little bit that way in those split districts, like the one you live in. Henrietta used to be pretty safely Republican, and now it's a split district, split area. Yeah. With a Democrat town supervisor and several Democrat town board members down there too. Again, used to be safe Republican. But yeah, I don't know. I was expecting Republicans to actually get clobbered worse in these races too. So, but that's just me. Yeah. Just that might be fueled by like anecdotal evidence of maybe it's more reflective of who I talk to than
sure. Yeah,
the
your own personal echo chamber.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts as we're talking about this, about the sheriff's race? I mean, Republicans didn't even put anybody up. Is that people just love Todd Baxter that much? Or
yeah, that's
the Republicans just knew they couldn't win. I mean, it's a little of everything. I think
it is against. I would. Todd Baxter strikes me as kind of like a conservative-ish Democrat. And that's,
he was a Republican before.
Yeah. So I think that being the case, it just, and I'd be curious to hear from the Republicans on this, but just like it wasn't ideologically important to go after that seat, given like how he tends to approach things anyway. It's not like, you're like when the Greens put up someone like Emily Good a while ago. It's not like you have like a radical candidate running for sheriff on the Democratic side. Todd Baxter's moderate. He does fairly well. He only occasionally makes people upset, and most of the time he's making people upset, it's on the left, and most of them aren't going to just vote for him anyway. So
it's going to be my next tagline: only occasionally make people upset.
Dude, they'll do great in the general and terrible in the primary.
Of course. Yep.
No, so yeah, those races have been interesting, and then I don't really have anything. I haven't looked much into like the Supreme Court ones at this point. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I feel like most people don't understand what the state Supreme Court even does. You kind of most people, again, I knew who the candidates were in many of these cases because I'd met some of them before, or I researched them, but your average voter probably has no idea what the state Supreme Court actually controls and what would make a good candidate. And that's unfortunate. Like that's not a case for not voting for them. It's a case for like most folks should do research on this.
Many voters I talk to do not know that New York State has a Supreme Court and think that there's only the Supreme Court and have no idea. So that's high school civics class. We gotta, up that a little bit, a little more voter education. It's hard for justices too, because they're not really allowed to campaign. Yeah, so there's even less education about those positions because they're really not supposed to campaign. They can kind of show up to an event, say who they are, and that's about it.
Right on. All right, Andrew, glad you're back. It's good to talk to you again. All right, and thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Tomorrow, I have Tim O'Connor. Then I'll be on Friday with Tim. Talk to you then.